what's happened is we've expanded benefits and we've taken money from young people in the form of FICA payroll tax contributions and given it to old people in the form of extra benefits. A lot of those people are very well off. They don't need those benefits and they got super high rates of returns on their contributions. And that's what I call a Ponzi scheme because it has the same features as Ponzi's Ponzi scheme, which is you take from fresh victims and you give to current people and you keep that going.
So you agree with Elon Musk that Social Security is a Ponzi scheme?
Well, here's the thing. Ponzi was, an Italian fraudster. He was, I say Italian not because fraudsters are Italian at all. No insult whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
Jewish mafia, there's black gang, we got bad people of all types, right?
Sure.
But I said Italian because he was he was Italian and he had a lot of Italian friends, just like Madoff had a lot of Jewish friends. So he preyed on the Italian friends and he said, give me some money. I'm going to make a good return for you. And he got people and he said, hey, I've made, I've doubled your money. You want to stay in or do you want me to pay you back? Stay in. And they told their friends, and he's taking in all this money and he's pocketing it. And when somebody finally came back to ask for the money, it wasn't there. And Madoff did exactly the same thing right under the eyes of the SEC. We had basically,
So the payout to the old investors is funded by the revenue from the new investors, and you always have to find more new investors.
That's what we've done with Social Security.
To keep the thing afloat. And by the way, you're taking 10% off the top for yourself or whatever it is.
So in our country's case, we have the Social Security system, which we definitely need a Social Security system. People don't save enough on their own. They won't insure. They won't have divorce insurance. There doesn't exist earnings insurance. There's so many different types of social insurances that Social Security provides that are necessary that we need to maintain, but to do it in a modern version. But what happened with Social Security is that Roosevelt saw that 40% or so of the elderly were impoverished during the Great Depression. He said, let's do what Germany and other countries have done. We set up the Social Security system to try and help make sure that people have saved for retirement. And so the first check starts going out in, I think it was 1949. And the tax rate was 1.5%. By the time Eisenhower left office, it was 3%. It's now 12.4%, the combined employer-employee payroll tax rate. And what's happened is we've expanded benefits and we've taken money from young people in the form of FICA payroll tax contributions and given it to old people in the form of extra benefits. Some of these people are, a lot of those people are very well off. They don't need those benefits. And they got super high rates of, if you like, returns on their contributions. And that's what I call a Ponzi scheme because it has the same features as Ponzi's Ponzi scheme, which is you take from fresh victims and you give to current people and you keep that going but in order for that to work for our country, we need to have lots of population growth or immigration, both of which are dropping because of our immigration policy. Our deportations are just taking things in the opposite direction there. But they haven't really started full scale yet, but that's about to happen, I believe. And then we have a lower birth rate. So we're kind of coming to the end of this Ponzi scheme, and Social Security is scheduled to run out of money on a cash flow basis in 2031. It's going to be 2034. It will be 21% short of the revenues that it needs to pay benefits on time. And the way the law is written, that means the benefits have to be cut 21%. If Trump has his way, and it's part of saying, well, I have all this extra tariff revenue coming in, it's all going to be projected, and you members of the House, you can now vote for me, even though you've told your constituents you're going to be fiscally responsible. So there's some kind of blue dog Republicans there that are fiscally conservative Republicans in the House that he's trying to persuade to vote the continuation of the TCJA, the Tax Cut and Jobs Act. But he also wants to eliminate the taxation of Social Security benefits under the federal income tax, which is just going to benefit you and me and all other older people. Now, I'm not saying we should have ever been taxing Social Security benefits. This is
in the first place. They shouldn't have been taxed in the first place.
The whole thing needs to be, and we need to have a rational, sensible, fair, equitable, progressive fiscal system that gives people incentives to work, that doesn't. But we have, if you look at low wage workers, poor people, 30% of them are in marginal tax brackets above 60%. They earn an extra dollar. They get to keep 40 cents on the dollar or less. Some people are in marginal tax brackets above at 22,000% because I earned some extra money and all of a sudden I start losing. And if I save some of it, I start losing Medicaid. I can lose Section 8 housing. I can lose some of my food stamps. I can lose some of my welfare benefits. The list goes on, and it's all different in every state. So we're locking the poor generation after generation into poverty by having this hodgepodge of programs. The earning of tax credit, which is part of the federal income tax. You lose 20 cents on the dollar if you earn too much money. Every extra dollar, you lose 20 cents. You lose 22 cents in food stamps. And then you go beyond an extra, you have $2,000 in the bank. You add to your bank account by $1, suddenly you lose supplemental security income. You may be a disabled person, and all of a sudden you have $1 too much. This is just cruel and un-American. So we need to have an Un-Americans Activities Committee like McCarthy put in, but actually to make things American, because we have too many un-American things going on here.
What's that got to do with Social Security?
Well, the way we're running Social Security is to run our kids into the ground, to leave these big bills. The only real solution for Social Security, apart from what I'm proposing, and we can talk about that, is to raise payroll taxes. And first of all, we could do that on high wage workers because the share of high wage the share of the earnings of high wage workers that is being paid to Social Security is lower now because of the change in the wage distribution. A much larger share of wages are above the threshold beyond which Social Security benefits are
taxes.
Are not taxed.
The FICA taxes
FICA
tax on the first, what is it, 180,000, something like that?
180,000. Above that, so that should probably be more like 210, 220,000 to keep things at the same ratio as they were before. And that will help the system a bunch, but not enough. If we just did it through a payroll tax hike, we need to raise the payroll tax from 12.4 to 16.9 starting today. And if we were to do it through a payroll tax, but wait for 20 years, we're probably talking about a 25% payroll tax rate at that point. All that means is that you and I will be gone, and our kids and grandkids and great-grandkids will be facing 25% payroll taxes. That if we go that way. So we have to, what I would do is I would say Social Security, as we know it, is retired. We're going to pay off everything we owe to old people, retirees. We're going to pay off everything to current workers that they have accrued under the old system. We're going to fill zeros in their earnings record going forward. That old system, and we're going to keep the payroll tax. We're going to lower the FICA tax a bit, maybe from 12.4 down to 10%, gradually lower that tax down to zero as we pay off the accrued benefits under the old system, get that out of the way, set up a fully funded personal security account system where each of us contributes, every worker contributes 10% of their pay. If you're married, your contributions divided 50-50 with your spouse. The government makes progressive contributions. It's all invested in a global fund, just like the Singapore Provident Fund. And it's all done on my laptop, and Wall Street plays absolutely no role. And everybody has an account. And at retirement, first of all, you're guaranteed a zero real return so that you get back at least what you put in adjusted for inflation, but you get it back in the form of the inflation indexed annuity. inflation protected annuity.